Today, typhoon Shanshan lashes southern Japan as it heads towards Tokyo. French authorities charge the CEO of Telegram in a probe into organised crime on the messaging app. Nvidia disappoints, dampening enthusiasm for other tech stocks. And the new mpox strain is changing fast. It's Thursday, August 29th. This is Reuters World News, bringing you everything you need to know from the front lines in 10 minutes, every weekday. I'm Carmel Crimmins in Dublin. More than 5 million people in Japan have been told to evacuate their homes as Typhoon Shanshan lashes the southwest with strong winds and heavy rain. It's knocked out power for hundreds of thousands of people, cancelled nearly 800 flights, and forced factories to close. Passengers at Hakata train station were left stranded as screens showed lists of cancelled journeys. At least 3 people have been killed and many more injured. Footage shared on social media from Miyazaki shows streets full of debris from trees and buildings and roads blocked. Authorities are warning it could be one of the strongest storms to ever hit the region. The typhoon, with gusts of up to 112 miles per hour, is moving north and is expected to approach central and eastern regions, as well as Tokyo, on the weekend. A judge in France has placed Telegram boss Pavel Durov under formal investigation and banned him from leaving the country. It's part of a probe into organised crime on the messaging app. The charges include suspected complicity in running an online platform that allows illicit transactions, images of child sex abuse, drug trafficking, and fraud. Durov has been granted bail, but must pay a $5.5 million deposit and report twice a week to police. The Russian-born billionaire's arrest at an airport near Paris on Saturday sent shockwaves through the world of social media. Martin Coulter covers European tech.
So I think other technology leaders are going to be watching this very closely. When Pavel Durov was first arrested, it wasn't clear exactly what he was being accused of. There was speculation it could be something to do with the EU's Digital Services Act, which forces social media companies to police their platforms. We now know that Durov was arrested in line with French law over allegations he had allowed criminal activity to take place on the app. The implication is not that he personally had anything to do with the illegal activity, but that as CEO, he had not done enough to prevent it taking place.
We also have action against X taking place in Brazil. South Korea's asked the likes of Telegram to do more to clamp down on explicit content. Is this all part of a global move to be tougher on these platforms?
So this definitely sets a new precedent. Earlier this month, X, which we all know used to be called Twitter, shut down operations in Brazil after an executive was threatened with arrest there. And earlier this year, Mark Zuckerberg successfully fought to have his name removed from a lawsuit in New Mexico over alleged child protection failures there. We've seen governments around the world taking a more aggressive approach towards policing social media companies. Arresting one of their CEOs at an airport sets a new precedent. While I don't think this is going to become commonplace, I think it does speak to the fact that governments are increasingly willing to take new steps to try and get social media companies to play by their rules.
A Hong Kong court has found 2 editors of the now defunct Stan News media outlet guilty of conspiring to publish seditious articles. Chung Pui Ken and Patrick Lam could face a maximum jail term of 2 years in the first sedition conviction against any journalist or editor since Hong Kong's handover from Britain to China in 1997. Russia faces a challenge in retaking Ukraine-held areas, according to a top US spy. Deputy CIA Director David Cohen says that as Russian forces mount a counteroffensive to try to retake territory in the Kursk region, captured by Ukrainian troops, they will encounter, quote, a difficult fight. Vice President Kamala Harris leads Donald Trump 45 to 41% in a new Reuters Ipsos poll. The 4-point advantage is a jump from a 1-point lead Harris held over the former president in late July and shows Harris picking up support among women and Hispanic voters. AI darling Nvidia failed to live up to investor hopes with its latest set of results. That's bad news for the tech sector. Dara Ranasinghe is our markets editor in Europe. Dara, Nvidia shares tumbled even as its revenue more than doubled. What's the problem?
You could say, Carmel, that there isn't a problem here. Nvidia is considered the AI darling of the tech sector. And the problem, you could say, is that investor expectations are just too high. So third quarter revenue forecast of 32.5 billion surpassed Wall Street expectations, but the results still failed to impress the most bullish investors. And they're the investors have been driving this rally in not just Nvidia shares, but the tech sector generally.
And it's had a knock-on effect, hasn't it, on other tech stocks?
So for sure, what happens to Nvidia is generally seen as a bellwether for the sector. So Nvidia shares fell overnight. They dragged other US chip makers down with them. The Frankfurt listed shares in Nvidia trading lower this morning in Europe. And in Asia trade, we saw Nvidia chip contractor TSMC, which is listed in Taiwan, fall almost 2%. Having said that, it's not completely bad news. We're seeing tech stocks in Europe this morning opening a bit higher. So that's quite a positive sign.
Caracas, and supporters of Venezuela's ruling party marching to mark the 1-month anniversary of July's disputed presidential election. Counter-rallies were held by opposition supporters who questioned President Nicolas Maduro's claims of victory. Complete voting tallies have still not been published, despite international calls to do so. The opposition published its own, showing a landslide win for its candidate, Edmundo González. That's led Venezuela's Attorney General, Tarek Saab, to issue a third summons for González.
Hay una tercera citación que le vamos a enviar.
Saab says he has to testify about the website where presidential voting tallies have been posted by the opposition. It means a warrant could be issued for González's arrest. The Electoral Council says it has not posted detailed tallies from the election because a cyber attack affected its system. Scientists studying the new mpox strain that has spread out of Democratic Republic of Congo say the virus is changing faster than expected, and often in areas where experts lack the funding and equipment to properly track it. Julie Steenhuisen is a healthcare reporter. Julie, what are you hearing from the scientific community?
Scientists are concerned that after a very long time, now we're seeing some rapid changes in a virus that is causing people to get really sick and in some cases die. It's behaving differently. This is a virus that has been in Congo since 1970. Most of those cases have traditionally been transmitted from contact with an infected animal. And now, for the first time, cases with this particular type of virus, it's called Clade 1, out of the Congo is started to be transmitted sexually. There are a number of reasons that scientists think may be playing a role, but they really don't know at this point. So one of the factors, at least, that may be playing a role is that about 50 years ago in Africa, they ended a smallpox vaccination campaign. And smallpox is in the same family of viruses as mpox. And so what you're looking at now in Congo is a population with, at least for people who are younger than 50, no immunity to this virus, no cross protection to this virus. And what you've got then is a very vulnerable population, particularly young kids who have been affected the most.
Have scientists been able to determine what could lead the strain of mpox to mutate more rapidly?
There is another change in the virus that some scientists who follow have seen. It's the sequencing. One of the markers of human-to-human transmission is this defense mechanism, viral defense mechanism that the body kicks off. In this case, it's ApoBec3. So what it is doing is it appears to be accelerating mutations within this virus. And basically, they're very concerned.
Before we leave you for today, here's our recommended read. We're taking a look at Antarctica and how it's changing, much faster than expected. Scientists are now questioning if climate change means the continent has hit a point of no return. You can find a link to it in today's pod description. And for more on any of the stories from today, check out Reuters.com or the Reuters app. To never miss an episode, subscribe on your favourite podcast player. We'll be back tomorrow with our daily headline show.